Okay, tell your neighbor you are important to me. I need you to survive. Tell your neighbor.
Tell your neighbor.
Tell your neighbor.
Neighbor.
Neighbor, yes. You are important to me.
You are important to me.
I need you to survive.
I need you to survive.
Okay. Say it loud to see. I don't know if they are hearing you well.
I don't know. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Love and Mental Health. And today we are discussing this is the second part of healthy conflict resolution in marriage. So this is love and mental health, and today we are discussing the second part of healthy conflict resolution in marriage. We did the first part last week. We explored, last month, we explored why, the main reasons for conflict in marriage, and we also looked into some of the things that people do that are disruptive or they are not helpful for conflict resolution. So today we will be continuing.
How do we do that thing that you just take the topic and
every week you ask me this question.
Right, so by now.
Every week. So I'll show you after.
Okay.
So so my name is Chigozirim Otefe Edebi, but you can just call me Chigo.
For
short, because that whole long name, I don't even know how it happened. Like, the name is really long, but just call me Chigo for short. Then this
is my name is Otefe Edebi. Otefe Edebi. Call me Otefe Edebi for short.
Right. He is P-Doc.
Yeah, P-Doc.
Yeah. So P-Doc. P-Doctor.
Yeah.
Psychiatric doctor.
Parent doctor.
Psychologist doctor.
But
pastor doctor.
The real one is pastor doctor.
You have confessed. Pastor doctor.
That's how we started. That's how we started.
So, P-Doc. You're welcome to the show, P-Doc. And everyone watching, you're all welcome. So, it's not a show, it's a session. Okay, thank you. So
you are the one that said it, you are the one that answered.
I'm hearing voices.
Okay.
Alright, so yeah, we are, today we are going to be continuing on conflict resolution. Healthy ways. Healthy. There are many ways to resolve conflict.
Healthier ways.
There are many ways. You can use, there are so many ways. I don't want to teach you negative ways. But there are so many ways. So we're going to be discussing the healthy ways to resolve conflict in marriage.
Yeah.
So, but one thing we want to start with, before we go into the actual, ways, we want to establish something.
So is a pastor doctor?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, we want to establish something.
Okay.
And that's a concept or a principle. And that concept or principle is the concept of or principle of what?
Oneness.
Good. Oneness.
Yeah.
So, oneness is the concept whereby the man is here, the woman is here, they get married, and they work towards becoming one. They work towards becoming one. Yeah, you may not achieve it on that day when you say I do. You may not achieve that oneness that day.
Yeah.
In fact, you can even fight at the altar, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's about working towards that oneness. Now, P-Doc, can you tell us why it is even important to work towards oneness?
The interesting thing is, when you were talking about I just thought of, said to myself that it's like a team. A team comes together. From day one, they are called a team. I'm not a football fan, but at least let's just use football. They come together and they are called a team. But the fact that they are called a team, or they're expected to function as a team, does not mean that from day one they begin to function as a team. But you will agree with me that the better they get at functioning as a team, working together, not as individuals, as fantastic players or fantastic team members. And so you can think about it from football or any form of anything that requires more than one person to come together to function. The importance is as good as what you will get from everyday people working as a team. If you function together better, you are able to communicate with each other better. You will have less stress.
Yes.
Just think about having a team that's dysfunctional. That place, I'm going to come from it. I'm going to obviously come from it from the mental health angle. You are going to have anxiety. You are going to have stress. You are going to have burnout. You are going to have depression. You are going to have irritability. You are going to have all of the works. You are going to even sometimes feel like giving up and leaving. People have literally left a distance. So you will experience all of that if you are not functioning as a team.
Yeah.
So achieving oneness is like a journey to being better, and not just saying you are a team, but actually functioning in a healthy way as a team, because you have unhealthy teams too. So that's one benefit that you get from achieving oneness in marriage.
Another benefit is you reduce waste of resources, and resources are like time. You reduce waste of time, like conflict, that is unattended to,
Yeah.
or resolved in an unhealthy manner, leads to a lot of waste of time.
Yeah.
Another example of a resource that you could, eliminate waste by, exploring some of the principles we're going to share today is waste of money. Some things that you could have, leveraged on both your resources and harnessed both your resources, brought both your resources together to achieve. Because I'm not talking to you, you're not talking to me, or we don't vibe and all that, and we've not worked on vibing, then, or becoming a team.
Yeah.
You waste money,
Mm-hmm.
Which other resource? Is there any other resource?
I think one beautiful thing about achieving oneness is the level of results and productivity you get. I mean, as an individual, I would say that marriage is not a additional. It doesn't. When you function as a team, you don't get additional effect. You get what is more of like a exponential or geometrical effect. In other words, for me, I always say marriage is not 1 + 1 is 1, because that is not correct. That is not correct. But marriage is actually a 1 × 1, which is 1. So if I come in with a 50, let's say I'm a 50 person, and you are like, what would you give yourself?
150. 150, baby. I'm a 150.
Okay, let's say now you see problem here now. Problem will start now. So let's say you're 150. Okay, 50 times 150. You have got to give yourself a number.
That's a lot of zeros.
That's a lot. Okay, so
it's a lot of zeros.
Okay, so whatever the calculation, whatever result you will get, no guy will percent 150 times 50. But then if you do 50 plus 150, that's 200. So when you work together as a team and come together and help, resolve your conflicts and resolve your conflicts in a healthy way, and you can flow together and fight together and work together, you do not just get an additional effect in terms of your results, you get an exponential effect. So that's one major why are you smiling like that, looking at me?
I'm still solving the math.
Okay, I will not call number that can easily solve. Yeah, call 150. You just want to say, yeah, continue. Yeah.
Okay, so it's important that we achieve oneness. We work towards oneness in marriage, regardless of our flaws. So nobody is perfect. Forget it. No human being is perfect. Even the people that you say, oh, their marriage looks lovely, even we that we are discussing here,
all these effects,
we are not. I come, 150, I come with my issues, and he with his 50.
50, no issues. 50, no issues.
He has issues. So, so we
Oh,
come
yeah.
together, both the positive and the issues, and then but we have to work towards understanding each other
Yeah.
and achieving that oneness, whether we like it or yes. Because we waste a lot of time. Another example of a resource that would be wasted is information. I was trying to remember that.
Okay.
So information. So it's
How do you
important. Information is a big resource. Like information is power. Like they say, knowledge is power, but knowledge is what? Knowledge is information. Wisdom is information.
Okay.
Remember the time when you were in traffic?
Oh, yeah.
And you
Okay.
asked me what to do, and I checked
Okay.
Google Maps,
Okay, that's true.
and then you were able to navigate to where you were going
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah.
He was on the road, and I was at home, and I checked Google Maps for him and told him what to do. So imagine if we were not talking. Imagine if we were not, imagine. So that's information that gave
Yeah.
you power on
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
And so imagine if we were not on speaking terms, or we just weren't helpful to one. Imagine if you weren't consulting me and I wasn't helpful. You
Yeah.
understand? So information is a big resource in marriage that can help.
In fact, to add to that, I always like to say your spouse is like your cheap consultant, and you don't have to pay so much money
Yeah.
to help you with many things.
Many things.
Counsel you in your business, counsel you in your behavior, your behavior, some
Yeah.
of the things you do
Your
outside.
dress code.
All those things. So I agree with you. It's a powerful.
Yeah.
Leveraging on that can be a very powerful resource.
Yeah, just like
achieving
I would
oneness.
have maybe by now be a very depressed person, but you are my.
And then sometimes you say it's not because of you, I did psychiatric.
But it's not because of me.
Okay.
I'm just benefiting
Okay, from
from
my many years of going to school.
When I was in telecoms, you were benefiting airtime.
Yeah, free airtime.
And so what I'm benefiting from is
It's
free psychology,
free
psychotherapy.
speech sessions.
Okay, so now we want to look at the second thing we want to look at now. So I hope we've been able to convince you that oneness is important and it should be pursued. We should try to achieve it. Now, the second thing we want to look at is, so why don't we agree? So last week, last edition, we spoke about last month we spoke about the importance of oneness. Sorry, not the importance of oneness. The reasons for conflict.
Yeah.
As in the causes for conflict.
Yeah.
So now today we want to look at the reasons for conflict. As in, why would a man and a woman who love each other so much, in fact before they got married they were even probably completing each other's sentences and all that, you know everything, and now they can't seem to agree on a lot of things. Why? You can't agree on money, you can't agree on principles, you can't agree on a lot of things.
Can't agree on the children.
Can't agree on children, can't agree on anything. And these are the reasons, because if you understand the reasons why, then maybe it will help your perspective every single time. So the first reason is,
the reasons can be varied though.
They are varied. Sometimes they're a combination of reasons.
Yeah.
And sometimes
but sometimes the reason could just be the fact that the gender difference, the whole gender difference. And gender difference comes from, if there's a biological, I like to be big, but there is the gender that we are different. There's also even how society raises the male child and how society raises the female child. So so that whole thing makes us look. In fact, let me even give an example. I was talking some months back with someone, and the person said, okay, it's okay for me to do something. And I said, what if your wife does the same thing? I said, no, she's going to be out of the house. And I'm like, okay, so society says it's okay for you, but it doesn't say it's okay for the woman. Society says it's okay. I'm not really for or against. I'm just saying that the fact that we are different, society trains the female child to be in the kitchen. Society frowns at the same.
That was
then, yeah. But you see, the people that were groomed in that time are the parents today. They are the ones that are married today, and sometimes without even knowing that that's where the struggle is coming from, because sometimes the struggle is coming from the fact, that whole gender difference. That's one reason.
So apart from that, even with the gender reason, there are ways that men think or they process information. Not all men though, because we don't believe in what's that word?
Stereotyping.
We don't believe in stereotyping. We don't believe in group generalization. But it is like research has shown that men process more than they talk.
Yeah.
So they think about a thing, they process the information, sometimes not even actively. Major issue, but they will first pack it one side, be thinking of business first before they now bring that issue. Some issues that have long-term implications, they may just think about it on the surface. So their approach to issues very different from women who probably talk more, speak more, are more expressive.
Yeah, processor is faster.
Processor is faster. Processor is 2021 version. Yeah. And then men are still so women, sometimes women are, as they are talking, that's when they are processing.
Yeah.
And then women are more, they know how to see the consequence long term, as in this thing that we're talking now. That's how it will lead to. They can plot map. Do you understand?
Sometimes real and unreal, sharp.
Real and unreal, and which is why some people claim or as so say that women jump into assumption because they've seen this thing play before. You understand? And somehow, like you said, how women are raised, their mothers have told them stories.
Yeah.
Stories about human, like my mom told me so many human angle stories, human perspective stories, human angle stories, let me just put it like that, which whenever she was telling me these things, my brother wasn't there. So, those kind of things affect how both of us, that's how a man sees life and how a woman sees life. Yeah.
Yeah, another reason is just even simple how we communicate, how we talk to each other as human beings. And sometimes some of us think that communication is really about talking more. You feel like, I need to express myself a bit more. But talking more doesn't necessarily mean you are communicating, and sometimes that is the cause of the conflict.
Yeah. So I shared with some people, I think it was last week, when I said, you need to be able to match the communication style of your spouse.
Yeah, very important.
So I gave an example of, there's this book called Good to Great, where they were analyzing the communication styles of various leaders, business leaders. And they said there was this particular man who didn't like to talk, but he used to draw for his organization. He would draw he would draw the plans for the organization. And the people in his organization, they were fellow engineers. So they would understand. So if you are someone that you don't want to be talking, you want to be drawing for your wife, you better make sure she's somebody who can interpret diagrams. So it's about matching up your communication styles. You understand? Some people want to talk. Some people don't want to talk. They want more of, they want more of when I speak, I want to see action. Some people believe in action more than speaking. You understand? We shouldn't talk too much now. This is a small thing. Let's just move. While some people are like, let's talk about it. Let's deliberate upon it. You must understand each other's styles and be able to match each other's styles, or in quotes, cope with each other's styles.
Yeah.
But when you are mismatched, then you end up misunderstanding each other a lot of times.
Before we move on, and also, you see, in communication too, about matching the other person, I was talking with a couple the other day, I said, I noticed that one person is more of what you call a problem-centered person, and the other person is more of a feeling, like I feel. So I was saying to one of them, I said, look, you notice that your spouse connects more with the feelings when you are trying to explain certain things to them. When you use how it makes you feel, they can connect with that. Than when you go like, this is simple now, this is so that so sometimes that is the cause, that is the reason why there's conflict.
Sometimes some people don't want the truth of the matter is that not everybody who tells you their problem wants solution. It's unbelievable for someone like me, but it's not everybody that talks. Some people just want, let's have this pity party, let us throw it, bring small chops, bring drink, let's cry, let's feel it. Let's imagine that kind of person now married to a solution that's you don't even want to use one ear to hear problem. Immediately you are already like, yeah, so it's very straightforward. You know, the person is telling you about this friend that disappointed them, and you are like, just stop talking to that person, stop talking to that person, or just resign from that organization. It's a no-brainer. But this person is like, I'm not asking for solution. I'm asking. I want us to cry. I want us to cry.
Is it right?
I will still go back tomorrow. Yes, some people are looking for validation.
Is it right?
What's this thing this person did to me? Is it right? Was I wrong? They just want you to say no, you were not wrong. Like my husband is very diplomatic. I remember back in the day when I asked him, this dress now, am I fat? And you say no, they didn't measure you well. You know, she just want people to make you feel good. You understand? But if I had followed him like that, only God knows. Only maybe this couch won't enter two of us.
I'll be sitting.
I left Ellie to just, this guy. I don't know if it's jazz or what. Just don't follow him for that category. So so communication style. Temperament is also inside communication style. Some people are more extroverted, and some others are introverted. So extroverted people just talk. They don't even process what they are saying. They just say how they feel. They just say how it's doing them. And they are not as sensitive. While introverted people are very sensitive and they process. So they capture the words, and then they process, and then it takes them time to express themselves. Another reason why there's conflict is expectation management. People have expectations, and sometimes those expectations, they assume that like, especially like, maybe I'll use women for example, would rather you already know. Like, you should read the manual.
I think everyone. I think people often live more in assumptions than they know they do. Many people. The guy expects the woman to do certain things. The woman expects the man to do certain things. So those expectations sometimes, and they are not spoken. And sometimes they are spoken once, or you just feel that because I said it, I think you should. Like someone will say some things are cut. Then they are not taught, so you just expect that you should catch it. If I hear some people say, he knows, or she knows. Like,
you've been living with me for all these years, and you don't know. You mean you don't know? And the person might not have known, so you may need to express or categorically say if you understand. So basically, these are just some of the reasons, among several, why people don't see eye to eye. And some of these reasons, as you can see, they are part of the way the person landed. That's like things like temperament, things like gender. Is how the person is wired, manufactured from up and came down. So it needs some major unlearning and learning curves to be able to, even for the person, some are even blindsided to their biases. So another reason why there is conflict is biases. So some people are just blindsided to, this is how I think, or this is how I do things, or this is my preference, and while the other person doesn't have that. So some of these things will need some major learning and unlearning. So we want to now
I think so. I mean, at this point, because we got a few minutes to go by, like half into the session already, or today's listening. If you have questions or contributions or comments, you can start putting them out there at this point.
So we're on Facebook, I am P-Doc, and we're on we're on Facebook, Chigo's Dream Otefe Debbie, that's my page. And then we are on his Instagram page, I am P-Doc. So now we want to move into so go ahead.
Ima. Okay, I think there's also one thing too sometimes that causes conflict that's worthy of mention. Is kind of close to what you talked about, which is the temperament, which is people's. Some people are moody. Some people are just. Some people too are
temperament.
Easily Not, I'm not even talking about temperament. I'm talking about temperamental, as in,
Okay.
you know, they really get easily touchy.
Okay.
So it's not really about just the issue. It's just about how the person.
Sees life.
Yes, and then some people are just easily irritable, and so that also sometimes it's kind of a source of conflict, because it's not really about what is being said or how it's being said. It's just about the person. So, and I think it's important to put it out there, because it's not really, this is not really a zone to say, okay, we are saying for or against or judging anything. It's just catch it, like, maybe this is me. Maybe this is the real reason I'm a moody person, and is or another way to put it in a polite way is sensitive. Someone that's
there's sensitive, there's moody, there's
okay.
irritable,
okay.
And for such people, I would say they should watch out for the triggers. Like, if the person, okay, as a person, because marriage is fun, marriage is enjoyable when the more self-aware we are.
Yeah.
So, like, I can only enjoy marriage as a wife when I am the more self-aware I am, the more I'm going to, and the more I work on myself to regulate myself, I will enjoy my marriage better, because I will now work on my issues, my triggers, my emotions, all those things. The more we work on ourselves. And also the spouse too, studying their own spouse will help a lot. You don't go and be studying other people's spouses. Don't go and say, this is my neighbor's husband. Why can't my husband be more like? Go and study your own husband, or go and study your own wife. Understand them. Understand their triggers. When you understand their triggers, the things that trigger irritability, things that trigger mood, poor mood, understand those triggers. They will really help you in your communication with your spouse. They will really help you in conflict resolution. They will help both of you. You need to keep work. Marriage is work. It's not automatic at all. Once you feel it's just gonna come to you, it's just gonna happen. It's not. It's actually work. You know, you need to learn and unlearn. So those triggers for people who their spouses or they have identified, like me now, noise is an irritation. Once there's too much noise around me, I'm very, very irritated. There's nothing you want to tell me. I'm so irritated. You are passing through a lot. So, you know, the more we understand
I like noise, music noise, TV noise.
So if you want to discuss something serious with me,
I need to put that sign, help, smiling like, help me.
So immediately if he wants to discuss something serious with me, he has to mute the TV. He has to, everywhere needs to be quiet. So I can just focus on what he's hearing. Because if the children are running in and out, the TV is on, music is on, or he's even doing something on his phone, I will start getting worked up, you understand? So we need to understand those triggers. It will really help us a lot.
Okay. So like I said, send in the questions right now. It will be helpful, so that way, as we begin to talk about some practical helpful tips. We actually got this from our church.
Yes, our church marriage counseling manual that we use has also been very helpful to organize us for this topic. So shout out to the Covenant Nation Marriage Enrichment Unit. Thank you so much for all the training, the support, the help.
All the support.
So
some practical steps you could take towards resolving conflicts in marriage in a healthy way. Because I mean, you can resolve conflicts in an unhealthy way. There's something they say in medicine. You know, when people break their bones and they go to the places that are not the right places, and they put their bones in a funny way, and it heals. If it doesn't, it will heal, but it will heal in an improper way, what's called a malunion. So you can have unhealthy ways, but we want to really look at what are the some practical steps. So what are some practical steps that can help resolve conflicts in marriage in a healthy way?
So first of all, I want to say that last week we touched on some healthy
last
month. I don't know why I say last week. Sorry,
I don't know.
It's TV behavior. So last month we talked about some unhealthy ways or some things people do to sabotage the process of conflict resolution. So you may want to go listen to that so after now. But now I want to talk about practical steps working towards resolution.
Greetings. I mean, no worries.
So number one is to select a good time. Like conflict resolution. Imagine if you had a business partner or someone that you were doing something with, and you guys had to resolve an issue. You would make time, right? So it's okay to set aside time. It's okay to select a convenient time.
Yeah.
And for those spouses who it's never a good time, you need to work on that, sir or ma. You need to work on that. We've already established, when we started this love and mental health, we've already established a principle, and that is what? Marriage is for what?
Matured people.
Matured people. If you want to be a baby, anything you see, take it like that. So mature people, if you're really interested in that marriage, you make time to and you invest in that marriage. You invest every manner of every kind of thing that is necessary to be invested into in that marriage. This is a marriage you probably spend how much to do wedding, so you invest more. There's this principle in sponsorship. Then when I was in marketing communications, for everything you put ₦1 into, you have to invest 4 times that amount of money into it to bring out the beauty of it. So you must invest. That's money. Then other things, time and so on. You must invest in your marriage. I'm sorry, if you're not ready, then don't disturb somebody's child. So you need to select a time to make time to discuss this issue. Make sure you have enough time. Don't go and fix conflict. Anyway, there are different types of conflict, but when you're hungry and tired and irritable, it's not the best time. When you are in traffic, Lagos traffic, that one is not really the best time. I've seen people come down and enter, just be going. You go. Me, I go. Because that was not really the best time. Over small issue. But that was not the best time. Another way you can, practical step, is to try and allow a reduction in tension. Before you start to discuss. Something may have caused much tension, especially if there's a very touchy subject for your spouse. Like, it could be something like maybe in-law issue or something. Just wait for the matter to calm down. De-escalate. If you can, de-escalate the issue before you now discuss. But don't go and start discussing this matter when tension is high. And then both of you should work towards reducing the tension.
Because I kind of remember a case in point where I think something that happened on my own side of the family. I was sharing the story with my wife. I was telling her something, and she was there. She went into problem-solving mode, and me, I was at the point. I was like, I really just need to just pour out this thing. So she started going, and I was really, really upset. Like, I really don't want to. I'm talking about my family right now. I guess you don't get it. You don't get it. You're just thinking, and so kind of tying it up with not trying to push too much when the tension is high. That's not the time. Like for her, she just stepped back, and we still had, interestingly, we still came back to still talk about the problem solving approach. But sometimes you need to just allow for the tension to reduce. Sometimes I know some of us like to say, sun must not go down.
We must stop it now.
Sun must not go down. I think that statement, scriptural statement, the Bible statement, is actually, I want to believe it's more. It has, I think, so. There's some level of figurativeness apart from also literal explanation, meaning that there are times you need to allow the soft place to go down, continue the conversation. In other words, but the concept is the third point, which is do not allow for too much. Even though you're finding a time, try to allow the tension, if possible, to reduce, But the third thing is, do not allow that time to be too
Wait, so let's
too
clarify.
far apart.
When you say don't allow the sun go down, you mean what?
No, so sometimes let's say we are having a heated conflict at night, and then and it's very touchy, and I'm really irritable, and then you now say no, we must settle. The sun must not go down. We must not, sometimes that's not the idea. The idea is do not allow that issue to fester too long. Address the issue. So as much as you are doing time, giving time, selecting a good, like when is the best time kind of thing. Second thing, you are trying to allow the tension to go down a bit if possible. But the third thing too is that sometimes you do not allow the time of the event and the time of the feedback, like when you want to now address the problem, you now come, that thing you did to me 1 month ago,
Yeah.
or that thing you did this thing, because you are brooding and all of that.
So this particular point, we must emphasize it especially for the temperament that they call
The male,
melancholic.
males in the house,
Melancholic. My husband is a melancholic.
and the choleric too.
He's a choleric.
What a wonderful combination. Yes.
You can see I'm going through a lot.
Help.
Help me. So
Oh, Lord.
melancholics brood. Like sanguines, the extroverts, if you step on them, they'll be like, why you match me now? You just stepped on me. Why? They'll just say it and keep it moving. Then if they are forgiving, they are forgiving. If they are not forgiving, they are not forgiving, and they'll tell you, I will never forgive you,
Yeah.
But a melancholic will first think, did you just step on me? Then why did you step on me? Then how could you step on me? Am I too small that you didn't see me?
No, it means I'm too small.
It means, they will go through all that
For you to step
without
on me.
speaking,
Yeah.
all these things without talking. And by the time they now want to actually now express the judgment, they want to pass judgment, inside their mind, they're taking that person to court. So by the time they want to now express the judgment of the case, time has passed. And by the time they are now saying, that day when we went to your auntie's house in Mushi in 2004, then you stepped on me. We're in 2020, auntie, uncle. It becomes like, what?
Yeah.
And it's like you can kill. And then maybe you're married to someone who doesn't understand. The person will be like,
Yeah, you can kill.
You can kill.
But it doesn't mean that
You
yes.
can kill.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
mean you kept all this in your heart since then, So
yeah.
that in itself now becomes
That's
another issue. We leave the issue of why did you step on me to now focus on this is how you keep things in your. And what beside you that stepping on, maybe there were like 3 incidents. You understand? So in 2004, May 23rd, in June 29th of 2000,
while wearing a blue shirt
Bagam.
near the fridge.
So
I remember.
wow, you're like, my God, I've been sleeping beside this person for all these years, and this person will keep it. And what if it's just a misunderstanding? What if what if it's just concocted things? So it is really tough. So please try and express yourself on time.
Yeah.
And spouses should create an environment where people can talk. Create an environment where your spouse can even be processing. So what we do is we do caveats that I'm just talking. I'm just, how do you normally put it? You say I'm just talking. I'm just expressing. I'm just brainstorming here. That's something that he says a lot. So that means he has not yet passed judgment. He's trying to let it out before it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm just brainstorming here. That thing that you did, I want to be clear. Why did you do that? So that's because, to the glory of God, I have created an environment. Hello, where he can. If you won't praise me, I'll praise myself.
Yes, praise yourself.
Praise myself. I've created an environment, or we have created an environment
we have
where
on
we
very
can actually just be ourselves, express ourselves without judgment. And even if I'm judging you or you are judging me, we know, but we can navigate it together. So I think it's very important that we work on that. And so and that brings us to defining the problem.
No, it brings us actually getting better at communicating.
We have teleprompter here.
You know, getting better at communicating. So like she mentioned, so over time we say things like, okay, I'm just, you know, I'm like, she would say, my wife processes, so she would say, I'm processing. I'll be okay, oh, you know, so you know, and sometimes if understanding that, okay, you like to solve problems, I like to talk about emotions, and learning to slow down and speak in the person's what the person can easily connect with, you know. So if the person is a feeling person, you try to slow down and try to communicate, so you just get better. I mean, it's work in progress. You get better at knowing how to best pass across your message. Then comes to learning to define the problem. In other words, to describe the behavior. So for instance, I give this example. I can make a mistake does not mean I am a mistake. You know, I can do something foolish does not mean I am a foolish person. You know, so defining the problem and describing the behavior, not putting what they call it, attacking my person. You know, in trying to in conflict management, in conflict resolution, in a healthy way, say you did this, you moved this from this, and this is how it made me feel, but not that you are always doing this, therefore you can kill. You know, for example, the example you gave, that, you know, why are you raising the matter? Why didn't you give me feedback like way before? But on that way, that is not proper, is to say the fact that you are still thinking about it till now.
You are wicked.
You are a wicked person. You know, that is now, you are no longer describing the behavior. You are no longer defining the problem. You are now literally attacking the person.
And labeling the person. So those things now add it to your list of crimes, your file of crimes. They'll add it for you. But when you focus on the issue, you know, there is progress. Another thing is that, you know, you can try to see the conflict from the other person. So I think we've talked most of this.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about all these things. Now we can quickly move to.
I think seeing the last two things, seeing from the person's point of view, seeking, like in the words of what's his name now, Steve Covey, seek to understand our uncle. Well done, sir. He has gone to be.
We read his books
yes, love layers. So seek to understand and then be understood. I think why that is very key and why that is very important is that just being strongly opinionated, you know, holding your own perspective sometimes is not helpful. You know, for conflict to communicate effectively, you need to be open-minded. You need to have some level of flexibility. I love this statement a lot, that if you cease to be just strongly opinionated, you'll be able to move from your own point of view to a viewing point. You know, I love that statement. You know, that if you what I can't remember. You know, if you cease to just be strongly opinionated, like it must be this way, it must be this way, you'll be able to move from your own point of view to a viewing point. That's, you'll be able to say, okay, let me even see it from, because sometimes you hear people say, I don't understand, I don't get it. You know, that is the problem. It's not, the problem is not the real problem. The problem is that you don't get it. And sometimes you don't get it because rather than just being open-minded to have a viewing, like see it from try to see it from the other person, you are insisting on your own, how you see it. And that's why you don't get it.
Can I also say that you may never get it?
Yeah.
You may never get it, but you may have to accept it.
Yeah, no, at least try.
No,
conflict.
In life.
Try.
In life.
Yeah.
You may never get it. You may never, like it's just like how some people spend some kind of money on some things and you can't relate.
Yeah.
You cannot justify.
Yeah.
But if you get a job selling that thing, will you say you will not sell? Would they put you in the shop and then you now, when people come in, you say, sir, have you really thought of spending this your money? Like now maybe they give you a job as a salesman in a very expensive car shop, and then they put you there, and then people come to buy, and you're like, sir, and maybe those cars that you have to wait for 6 months, 8 months before your car will arrive, and so they give you that job. Will you now say, sir, have you considered my brother has a allowance, he has a car? No, you may not be able to relate, but you may not be able to get it, but you need to accept it, and just take it one step at a time, growing in that understanding. Like you can seek to understand, like you first said.
To understand.
You seek
now,
to understand.
To just add to what you're saying, I think for me, I like to put it this way: you may never agree, but you can understand.
Yeah.
I don't have to necessarily agree with you, but I can understand where you are. I can understand your pain. Doesn't mean I agree with your reasons or your assumptions or why you. So that's it. It's like the same way I'm selling car. I don't. Whether it's just.
I don't think we should spend all this money to buy a brand new car, for example. But I'm working here. So I will do what I need to do while I grow in my understanding. Because as you open your mind, so that's one way to open your mind. As you open your mind with time, you allow yourself to now understand. And you will get there. You understand? So you will get there. You will eventually see, okay, no wonder you will get there. But you must understand that person isn't just outrightly being unreasonable. There's a 1% chance that person has a valid point or a perspective.
We will just take these last 2 points.
Before we go here, let's do this.
Yes, I agree 100%. I say, that it takes some level of humility, in marriage to achieve oneness. So we started out talking about the journey towards oneness. It takes proud people, or being proud, will just make you opinionated. So like someone said, some people are just opinionated, not necessarily that they are informed. They just hold on to an opinion, not necessarily that there's good information as far as that's concerned. So there's humility. There's something we say in mental health. There's something we say in what we're dealing with. I love it so much about it's called the HOW, the how of spirituality. H stands for I can't even remember again, but O is openness. H is honesty. Be honest with yourself. O is being open-minded or openness, and then W is willingness. For me, that's like humility, being open, being willing. It takes humility, to say I'm sorry, and to be sincere. Not the kind of I'm sorry, but you are the one. Just humility. It's very important.
In marriage is the worst place to be proud, because your spouse knows that it can finish you in short. So it's the worst place to be proud. So you need to be humble. It will really, really help. Humility is a major. If marriage is a journey, one of the things you should pack inside your bag after communication is humility. Humility is very critical for growing together in marriage and achieving that oneness. So the last but not the least thing that we are going to dwell on before we call it a day is the major issue of forgiveness.
Why did you now stop forgiveness?
I'm feeling like a TV, like I'm on TV, they are doing
too
something.
Much,
forgiveness.
Yes, focus.
Okay,
it's Facebook, it's not
from here to what is more international than
Facebook?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm on CNN.
Okay.
So forgiveness, major issue. Someone said if you're not ready to forgive in marriage, leave it. Abi? That's what they wrote on that thing. There's a meme like that.
Okay.
That marriage is all we do in marriage is forgive. Some people feel it's sex, but it's more forgiveness than sex. So there's a lot of forgiveness in marriage. It's forgiveness, as in even before the person has done it. You need to work on your ability to forgive. If you are single, you start rehearsing forgiveness before you enter marriage. And when you enter marriage, you need to rehearse forgiveness.
And I think it's also important to, when it comes to marriage, if you want your marriage to be beautiful, to be healthy, to be rich, to achieve oneness, because there's some kind of forgiveness. Some people say, I will forgive, but
I won't forget.
I won't forget, or I will forgive, but I keep it in mind. And then you forgive, and every time something happens, you are like,
that's how that time.
That's not the kind of forgiveness that kind of some level of hurt, some level of pain. I must say, and we must say, requires God to help you. That's
yes.
the truth.
God will, but you must be willing. So there are some that you tell God that this is much, I can't forgive on my own.
Yeah.
Some you go and read forgiveness book. You Google how to forgive. Because it's really painful and it's really hurtful. But the important thing is you must forgive if you want to continue. Because if you keep sweeping things under the carpet, if you keep it's just like imagine a house where we don't sweep, we just sweep everything under the carpet. We don't pack the dirt away, we just keep it under the carpet. Very soon we'll start tripping on those things and we'll keep falling down and hurting ourselves. So we must work on forgiving each other and even forgiving ourselves. So in forgiveness, there are things that you forgive yourself, then you forgive the other person. Because there are some things that the person will tell you are forgiving you, but you just keep feeling bad. So you learn to forgive yourself and you forgive the other person, and also you learn to say sorry and repent. Very important. So under forgiveness, there's also repentance. Learn to forgive and learn to repent. And most times, in a lot of things that cause conflict, especially the big conflict, we both parties usually contributed to the situation. If you check it, for conflict to be escalating, a lot of times both parties contributed to the issue a lot of times. Not all the time, but in certain things, both parties. So when we begin to take responsibility that, okay, this is how I added to the fire. There was a fire, but I added my fuel. He added his own kerosene, and this is how the thing exploded. So we begin to apologize and walk backwards and forgive, and just like God does for us, we forget. If God remembered all our sins, so sometimes you forgive just because God forgave.
Yeah, and I think that too is very key, because you need to come to terms with that because marriage will test your patience. Marriage will sometimes, you'll be hurt, because you can imagine it maybe for any reason something that you consider very dear is trivial or trivialized, or like you feel like you've been stabbed or betrayed and all of that. So
or they carried your secret
and put it out there. So but despite all of this, it's not about, can this be right? Can I ever forgive?
Judge this case. You won't rest on. There are some people that they will not rest until they find that judge that will side them. They're looking for that judge. So they'll start from their family. When nobody in their family sides with them, they'll go to the spouse's family. When they don't see them, they'll take it to outsiders. They're just looking for who will side me in this case. And like we said from the beginning, you are wasting time. You're wasting resources.
Okay. Thank you.
So is it almost time?
No, that's it. I think. Well, it's almost time. And so forgiveness is very key. I think one last thing here is dealing with your anger. Your emotions. If you are that person who's touchy, that's also one thing you need to work on. Because when it comes to conflict resolution, also learning to work on your emotions is very key, very important. For me, I always say I don't think there's any justification to say I did this because it's because of you went to scatter things, destroy things, and all of that. I may understand, but I don't agree. That's what I mean by there's no justification. I'm saying, so work on it. Work on it. When you don't make progress if you keep making excuses. Someone said you can't make excuses and make progress at the same time. So don't sit on it. Don't dwell on it. Look for solution. Sometimes it may require you to pray about it, seek a counselor, go for professional counseling. But don't just make excuses for it. Don't say, okay, my childhood, I was this thing. So yes, that may explain it. Does not mean that gives you a right to keep expressing yourself.
You can practice. You can practice working on your emotions. So emotions are not just anger. Also crying. There are some people that any small thing you start to cry.
Yeah.
They are asking you, so what's the problem? And you are crying. Why are you crying? Why not come? And you know that your spouse does not have that. Once you start crying, it's like Nollywood film. They're like, why? So we need to walk. Some people just get angry and walk out in the midst of a conversation or during a conversation. So we need to work on those emotions. It's part of growing up. It's part of being mature. And something we need to tell ourselves, another thing we should hold is that, because a lot of people, their spouses do things and they can never forgive, or they can. What if your child has that behavior? Because some people will be like, this is my wife, she's very this, or this is my husband, he's very this. What if your child has that behavior? Because you can't control your child. If you ask parents, there are some parents that have raised the child, taught them everything. Once they get to that age, they start executing certain things. So you must learn to work on your emotions. You must learn to work on those things, those triggers, you yourself. So you practice it. And that's part how we grow, and that's how to grow. So once again, we'll wrap up by saying, do not assume that because you are married, things will happen automatically. Marriage is work, and it's for mature people. So if you want to enjoy your marriage, you need to put on the work, put in the work, and you need to try and be more mature, grow. You need to pursue growth, like actively pursue growth as a person before you even start to look at your spouse. Whether he or she is growing or not, you need to put in the work. It's about being the right person and working on yourself, as opposed to waiting for the next person. So by the time I'm working on myself, I'm putting in the work, he's working on himself, he's putting in the work. We're making magic.
Bada boom, like you said.
Bada boom, Africa magic. We're making magic, yes.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's.
Are there questions on Instagram?
No questions, actually.
Okay.
No questions. So thank you so much for what would you call it now? Tuning in, coming in.
Thank you for your support, encouragement.
Yes.
We get
thank
messages.
You, Amin. Thank you so much.
We get messages from people telling us how we've helped. Thank you. We continue to try from the much that we have learned to share, and we are still learning, to share with you so that you too can enjoy your marriage. Marriage is sweet. Don't answer them that say it is not. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye. Have a wonderful.
If I may do that.
Have a wonderful weekend.
So it's only on this show that I can behave like this. If you are doing the mental health, so I'm very serious, very very.
Oh, why are you not so serious with this one?
I don't know. It's you.
Oh my gosh! You guys, send me flowers for making you all serious.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for everything.
Thank you so
much. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful holiday. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I love the flow.